The search for a long-missing crime kingpin takes Crockett and Tubbs to the edge of insanity in what could easily be the best Miami Vice episode ever made. The splendidly titled Out Where the Buses Don't Run was directed by Jim Johnston and written by John Mankiewicz and Douglas Lloyd McIntosh. If you have anyone in your life who isn't sold on the virtues of Miami Vice, consider sitting them down and showing them this one. If, after that, they still don't care for the show, you can safely consider them a lost cause. It starts off with a crackerjack opening sequence, scored to The Who's Baba O'Reilly, which was released 3 years before I was born, and yet I've spent my whole life trying to override the part of my brain that is absolutely certain the title is Teenage Wasteland. Crockett and Tubbs cruise along the beach, shadowing a roller skating drug dealer named Manuel, who is clad in short shorts and a bandolier made of cassette tape strung across his chest. Sometimes I miss the 80s so much I could cry. While all this is going on, a street preacher played by rock and roll founding father Little Richard is delivering a sermon to his acolytes. When Crockett and Tubbs move in to arrest Manuel, he takes one of the acolytes hostage, and she beats the crap out of him with her Bible. The next day, a retired Vice detective named Hank Weldon, played by Bruce McGill, saunters into Vice headquarters. Weldon, who dresses in loud Hawaiian shirts and constantly fires off a non-stop barrage of celebrity impressions, is a legend within the department, though something about him immediately sets off Castillo's finely tuned radar for trouble. This is significant because if there's one constant on Miami Vice, it's that Castillo is never wrong. If Castillo distrusts Weldon, it means that Weldon, who seems like a harmless goofball, should not be trusted. Even though he's retired, Weldon claims to have evidence that a major crime kingpin named Tony Arcaro, who disappeared in 1977 and is presumed dead, is very much alive and conducting business around Miami. He convinces Crockett and Tubbs to work with him to shadow another dealer named Freddie Constanza, whom Weldon claims has been working with Arcaro. Despite Weldon's sterling reputation, his erratic behavior unsettles Crockett and Tubbs enough that they seek out his former partner, a federal agent named Marty Lang, who is played by David Strathairn, who received an Academy Award nomination in 2005 for his portrayal of Edgar R. Murrow in Good Night and Good Luck. Lang grows agitated at the mention of Weldon. He informs Crockett and Tubbs that Weldon didn't retire. He went into a psychiatric lockup due to his unhealthy obsession with Tony Arcaro. Weldon worked for 3 years meticulously building a case against Arcaro, who beat the rap on a technicality, walked out of the courthouse, and was never seen again. Weldon became so unstable after Arcaro's disappearance that his wife Lorraine ended up changing her name and moving to another town to get away from him. Crockett and Tubbs continue to hang out with Weldon, who lives in squalor and stores all his files on a personal computer he's named Lorraine after his wife. If you're feeling nostalgic for personal computers circa 1985, this episode should give you your fix. Weldon definitely seems unhinged, but his detective work is first-rate. He accurately predicts an attempted hit on Freddie Costanza at a fancy restaurant, where Crockett somehow ends up running through an endless number of Jell-O salads down the buffet table in pursuit of the killer. Weldon also tips them off to a huge drug deal going down at a house on stilts in the water. However, he keeps insisting that Tony Arcaro is behind everything, and there's absolutely no evidence to suggest this is the case. Finally, Weldon calls Tubbs from a payphone in the middle of the night to tell him that he is located Arcaro and is in the process of extracting a confession. Crockett and Tubbs speed through dark Miami streets toward the address Weldon gave Tubbs in a sequence scored to Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms off their 1985 album of the same name. They find Weldon in an abandoned house, apparently alone. Weldon insists that Arcaro is there and has confessed to everything. He leads them to an empty room where he picks up a lead pipe and smashes a hole in the wall. And there in the wall is the decayed corpse of Tony Arcaro, who has been dead since Weldon murdered him in 1977. Castillo arrives at the scene with Marty Lang in tow. Lang confirms that he helped Weldon hide Arcaro's body in the wall because Weldon was his partner, and that's what partners do for each other. This is a beautifully made episode with a strong performance by Bruce McGill as Weldon. For about 3/4 of the episode, Weldon's almost a cartoon character with his wacky impressions and his constant jokes, but it becomes increasingly clear that there's something very wrong with him. And then everything from the opening notes of Brothers in Arms as Crockett and Tubbs speed through empty streets while the traffic lights strobe red to the final freeze frame is immaculate. Brothers in Arms is a beautiful but almost unfathomably bleak song about lonely wartime deaths, and it sets the perfect mood for that final revelation. I mentioned way back in my review of the episode Heart of Darkness that Miami Vice likes to present viewers with characters who are bizarro world versions of Crockett. Ed O'Neill's Artie Lawson in Heart of Darkness is one, and William Russ's Evan Freed in the episode Evan is another. Hank Weldon definitely is. He's a character who provides viewers with a template for what Crockett might someday become. I'm keeping long-term spoilers to a minimum, but Crockett's sanity will markedly deteriorate by the time the 5th and final season rolls around, and early episodes like this one indicate that character arc was set in motion well in advance. This is close to a perfect episode. It's a strong contender for the best Miami Vice episode ever, though I give that award to Evan by the slimmest of margins. However, like Evan, I'm giving this one a perfect 5 solid gold flamingos. Next time, poor overlooked Trudy finally gets an episode in the spotlight. And it's about time, because Trudy is awesome. Until then, please hit subscribe or find me on Twitter so that we can chat about Miami Vice. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.